When the right people come together at the right moment, when they care almost as much about winning as they do about each other, they can become the best of the best.
Welcome to the best soccer show, the best soccer show in the whole world.
Here we go. It's the best soccer show. Jason Davis, Jared DuBois, Sunday evening, first show of 2022, a live call-in episode of American Soccer Podcasting. What more could you want? What more could you want for the new year?
Did you have to think about the number before you said it? The year?
It came out pretty naturally. That may be the first time where my brain didn't like hiccup. My kid said something. He's 13. Time for him. Who knows what that is? He goes, 2021 went so fast. I can't believe it's 2022. And I was like, you know what? It kind of did. Like, we went from the bad pandemic year to a slightly less, but also kind of bad pandemic year. And now here we are again. And it's
in
almost
a World
like
Cup year.
It's a World Cup. It's a World Cup year, Jared.
Does it feel different? Does it taste different?
I was thinking about that. And I was also thinking about,
it tastes like bribes.
Damn, dog.
Inappropriate.
Maybe it's not inappropriate at all. I was thinking, you and I, right, as a partnership, as a conglomeration. I don't know what that is. Are we a conglomeration? Or as two people who have been talking about soccer with one another for American soccer fans for something like 10 years now, 11, whatever it is. Who knows what it is? Again, time. Who knows?
Yeah.
We like to say, this is a fact, right? When we were doing the show, the U.S. men's national team never missed a World Cup.
So I'm betting heavy on this now.
We went off the air just ahead. I think 2016 we shut it down for a while, right? That is the decision that we made as a collection here. Some things happened in life.
Our bad, U.S. soccer. Our bad.
We went 2016. We shut it down. Now 2017 we lose in Cuba. You and I did a comeback show, angry one about missing the World Cup, right?
Yes.
And then we went into kind of a stasis period. I was,
as all U.S. soccer fans did.
I was telling you I want to do the show again, but it was also kind of not a great time. Then this generation of young players sort of pops up. We get Pulisic, but then we also get McKennie and we get Adams, and now we're Gio Reyna and all these guys, and we're thinking, okay, we got to get back, right? And again, now it's being tested. It's being tested right now, Jared.
Yeah, I mean, not just that, but we're looking beyond that as well. I mean, if you think about it, we've got a whole camp that's being established right now with I believe, is it in Carson? Is that where they're meeting? Arizona. They're
at Phoenix, Arizona, where it's 100 degrees all the time.
Where the next generation, the names that you just said, that they are trying to come up behind those guys. They're breeding the guys behind the guy. And so there's I feel I'm coming into 22 with a decent swagger to my step. I think I'm Sherman Hemsleying it up. You know how Sherman Hemsley used to walk? Like you got a little stroll into step. I feel I got some confidence in my step. That is until Canada. I mean, and then I'm sure I'm going to maybe feel different after that game. I don't know. We'll see. But I feel pretty good coming into it because there's some things going on that are positive. Gio Reyna's back with the first team.
Well, back.
I mean, he's practicing. He's training with the first team. He's training with the first team.
He's training with the first team. That's the most important thing. Obviously, Christian Pulisic can score goals still. We know that. He might not play the same position every single time for Thomas. I'm sorry, what's his name again? Stanley Tucci. Stanley Tucci. He doesn't play. Stanley Tucci likes to move around, just like Stanley Tucci likes to throw some pasta around. That's right. Stanley Tucci does that thing where
Weston McKennie had a little bit of an injury scare early in December. He's been back, played 2 90-minute games this week. One of the better players for Juventus recently. There's a lot of good things coming into this year. The question now, does it translate into short-term results against Canada and slightly longer-term results about qualifying for the World Cup?
Let's go. Let's talk. Okay, El Salvador first, right? First game first.
Okay. That's the one you're worried about, though?
No. I think Canada's the tougher out, but I'm asking you, are you just chalking that up 3 points and moving forward? You already
Okay,
got.
we don't want the U.S. national team to be guilty of the same thing as I'm doing right now, which is looking past the first game.
Right. Do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah, there's
is.
a little bit of that to it. But how can you not, in a way? You know, last window we had the Mexico game first, so it was easy just to like look right ahead, think about that one game. But now we're back to 3-game windows again. 3-game windows where you're going to be like, why the heck did Berhalter put this lineup up? It's going to happen. It's a 3-game window. He can't play the guys, or maybe he can. We've seen other teams do it. And we said, why isn't Berhalter? Maybe he changes it up now. These guys coming out, we're in the back stretch. Maybe this is where he like hits the horse a little bit with the whip and pushes it a little bit down the stretch and plays guys 3 games.
Oh man, I don't know about that. I don't think he has the stomach for it. I mean, that sounds like a criticism. I guess it kind of is, but I don't think he has the stomach for it. Now, if you are following us on YouTube, which you should be doing, if you push the little button to get the bell to ring whenever we're on the air, you'll know that we teased this show. We set this show up with a question. This is a Jay Rodius original. He threw that out there in the chat, in the team chat a couple of days ago, and it's an interesting one. And Jared, you want to present this the way that you came up with it?
Yeah, I mean, just thinking about like, okay, we're a few games. Was it 6 games left? 6 games?
6 games left. Yes.
6 games left. Second in qualifying. 1 point out of first. 1 point out of third. And the questions are like, okay, this is probably going to happen. There's a good shot that this is going to happen, that we're going to qualify for the World Cup. And we should, right? We got the team for it. We're in a good position for it. But if it came down to it, how much of your own money would you be willing to bet flat odds on the U.S. making the World Cup? Because that's a good bet. If anyone gave you that bet, you would take that bet, right?
Hold on. The odds matter here. I do get what you're saying. I think the odds, look, if you're an experienced gambler, I don't know. The odds matter on some level. These are
1 to 1. You put $1 down, you win $2. Okay, like
that's 2 to 1. That's 2
to 1. Sorry, you make $1 profit. Excuse me. You make what you.
So if I put down $500 and I win the bet, then I have $1,000.
You win $500. Yes, exactly.
So I'm not just getting back my money. So obviously, look,
you're getting back your money plus the exact same amount. That's what we're talking about.
Okay, but I think the odds are probably shorter than that. So
I'm talking about like if you bet with your friend. If you had $20 in the game, you're not getting your $20 back.
Chill. I'm just trying to set this up. I'm trying to understand what you're saying. And really,
okay,
it might not matter for me. I am not a natural gambler. I got that thing in me that panics when my money's down, right? I got that thing in me that says,
isn't for you.
And it doesn't, it's weird because I know, like, well, look, when I was younger and I had no money, I definitely wasn't gambling it out at all. I think I made one sports bet when I was like 27, right before my kid was coming, and I lost that bet, and I pretty much was like, nope, that's not for me. I hated every single second of that feeling of trying to root for that team to win the game. Right now, at this age, with the house and the beautiful wife and the 2 kids and the cars and everything that I got going on, and we're doing pretty good. Yeah. If you asked me, regardless of the odds, how much money would I put on the U.S. men's? I think this is conservative. I really do. Considering my position in life, I'm saying $5K. I think I would put $5K down.
Honestly, that's the number that came to my head as well, because you got to play like, how's your wife going to take the news that you put that bet down? Like, I'm thinking, we're talking about your exact money, my money, your money. You're talking about like, you didn't go to Vegas with like, $200 spending cash. Now, if I lose it, oh well. We're talking about like, how much would you put down of your livelihood to get a fantastic?
Obviously, I'm not going to be sharing. I'm not running for president. I'm not sharing my tax returns. Graham asking about my tax returns to know if that's a big bet. It's a big enough bet, right? There's a nest egg. I'm not going to pretend there's not. We could absorb that hit and it wouldn't end us, but it's significant enough that I would hate losing that money. That's the line for me, right?
Okay, and this is the other thing. Like, and if let's just do it slightly differently. If they were in third right now, what would that number be? If they were where Mexico is right now, would that number change to you?
Yes, I think so. I mean, I know that points are very, man. No, no. Actually, no. I don't think it would. I don't think it would.
You throw $5,000 if they were in third right now, 1 point less.
I think I would because of what they have coming, because of these, in part because of these 3 games, right? If it's 1 point, right? We're talking about 1 point, right? The difference between second and third is a single point.
Yeah.
El Salvador, Canada away. I know Canada's great, guys. Do you know how good Canada is? Canada's got the best players in CONCACAF. I don't know if you heard this. Canada's amazing. I'm still not scared of Canada. They can still go beat Canada. And if they can't beat Honduras at home, a crap Honduras team, well, they'd have no business being in the World Cup. I think they're good enough to do that. So there's a potential for 9 points. So even if they had one fewer, those 9 points get them so close to mathematical qualification that I would still feel comfortable about that fight.
Now, here's the question. Would you have to convince Kayla, your wife, to put that money down, or would you put it on the side and just surprise her with $5,000 down the road? Let's see it. Baby, bonus came in.
Do you know where my wife is from?
Actually,
have I told you this before?
I know this about both of our households.
Yeah.
Neither of us run the money in both of our households.
No. And I don't want to.
Could you get $5,000 out without her noticing?
No desire. No, not a chance in hell.
Yeah,
Nope.
there's no way. I don't even know where it goes, dude. Like, I give it to her, and then like, she tells me at times we're okay, and I'm like, all right, cool.
I'm on top of that. I mean, at least I know where the money gets dispersed into various accounts, but I'm not on top of like, I don't know. She's the one who's like,
all right, so listen, $5,000, good number. And if listen, you're in the chat, you want to give us your number if you want to call in, talk to us, 717-727-BEST. I'm interested to know, Nikki Soup and Sausage. Nikki Soup and...
Oh.
Man, what's a money term that starts with S? I don't even know.
Soup and
Sawbuck.
Sawbuck.
From Seinfeld, isn't it?
Yeah, well, that's an old term. You want? Are we? Where are you?
Nick, what amount of money's worth?
King of Chicago.
Go ahead.
What amount of money's worth wrecking your marriage?
I'm only putting 500 down.
500. Now, is that a statement on your feeling on gambling, your feeling on how much the U.S. national team would potentially win, or your feeling on how much you don't want to get yelled at by your wife?
Oh, 100% the wife.
100%. So let's say you were a single man in your exact same situation right now. How much money would you think you put down then?
I'd probably bump it up to $1,000.
Okay. I think that's respectable. I am being positive. I mean, look, if you wanted to say how much could I afford on a pretty sure bet, and if again, it's confidence level in the national team, I could go higher than 5K. I just wouldn't want to. I'd be too nervous.
No, I wouldn't sleep for the next 2 months like that.
Right.
Like if it gets to a certain number, it's just like, and I know we got some bettors in the Slack. I know we got some people that like to gamble out there, and this is one of the best bets you would ever see. Is there?
Sports betting just went live in New York, so the state of New York can now get on this.
It's going to be live in Ohio later this year.
Can you think of a sports bet ever in your life that you would have been willing to put $5,000 on? Is this the best bet you maybe have ever seen in sports if someone was to give it to you?
Man, that's a good question. I mean, I'd have to really think about it.
There's no over, there's no under. It's just straight result.
It's money line, basically. It's just a yes or no bet, basically. Let's go to the phone line. Did you give your number? Are you holding out? What are you doing?
I said 5K. I same as you. Same as you.
You're going to have to give me a minute. The phone's just dropped.
Okay. All right. Something about fixing the phones. So we're going to wait on the calls, people who want to get in. Jared, what do we got in the chat? Anybody throwing up some numbers?
Okay, we got this is the biggest I've seen so far. Nate Osika says 10K if I'm single. So I'm guessing that he's off the market because like this is a fictional scenario, I'm pretty sure. I don't know what his number would be. Oh, wait, here we go. $5 current situation. So my man's not in the best relationship.
I think what's interesting about this. So I was single 6 years ago. 5 years ago, I started dating Kayla. I was single 6 years ago, but I was also broke. I also had zero money. So,
but this would be your chance, dude.
No, but I think that I can't really put myself in a position to think of myself as single and having money because those two things have never coincided. Like I've never been single with money. I've always been single and poor or married now for the first time in my life and somewhat comfortable. So I can't put myself in the mental space to be like, if I was single, what would I drop? If I didn't have to explain it to her, I guess I could say 10, but I don't think I would do it. I don't think I would do that.
By the way, guys, phones are back up. But yeah, listen, if here's the other, if I didn't have my wife, I wouldn't have as much money to be playing with, you know? So that's
what it is too, right? Absolutely. Like, how do I separate? How do I do the math in my head? Which I hate math, hate it. So how would I do the math in my head to be like, well, if I was single and I was making what I'm making now, how much would I actually have available? Now, would I be paying less to live somewhere? Probably. Would I, what about kids? Would I still be paying for kids?
So here's an extension of this conversation, and Morgan just put it in the private chat for us. And she put, how confident are you that the U.S. men's national team will qualify as a percentage? How confident? What percentage would you put on? Because that's what you're talking about in terms of percentage of winning this bet.
I'm going to say 90%.
I would put it somewhere right in there as well. So that means even though that we have a 90% chance of winning the money, we still stopped at $5,000.
Yeah, because we're scared. Because we're scared. We get fear. We just live in fear.
I value my marriage more than that.
Yeah, that's what it is. Let's go to Felix in Chicago. Felix, do you have a number for us, first of all?
That I would bet that the U.S. will qualify.
Yes,
Yeah,
right now.
qualify.
Based on the current, and by the way, one thing we haven't really talked about, Jared did kind of set it up, right? There's some positive things. Rain is back on the field, training. Obviously, Pulisic is playing well enough to score at important games and continue to play for. So you consider the state of the team right now, again, ahead of the camp, because we don't exactly know what Berhalter is going to call up. But if you had to make the bet today, Felix, how much would you bet?
Yeah, probably like $500. It would be. I'm fairly confident. That the U.S. win, but I think not. I actually was trying to Google it while I was on hold. The actual odds of the U.S. qualifying, I couldn't really find those. I could find them winning the World Cup, but not of them qualifying. So
I'm not sure the betting lines around qualifying.
I'm sure they exist.
The delinquents will bet on anything. There's got to be a line out there. I just can't find it. That's not my bag. Knowing that there's a pretty good chance that they're going to qualify. The odds are going to be really low, and your return's going to be really low. So there's probably better things I'd rather just do.
Right. Okay. All right.
So I would put about 500 on it.
And would that be the biggest bet you've ever done in your life on anything?
100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
But listen, so that's another way to gauge it as well, because that speaks to someone's personal gauge. Would this be the largest bet $5,000 would be the largest bet I've ever done on anything? That's for sure.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah. Like I said, I think $100 is my biggest actual bet. I haven't bet some stuff with friends, but I think $100 is my biggest actual bet.
Yeah, but the exact same thing though, kind of similar to what Jason was saying. Last time I made a big bet, what I would have considered a big bet, I was probably like 19, 20, 21. I was single, totally different game. There's no, I mean, if I was bet $100 now, my wife would be all over me about it. So yeah,
think about this though. Think about this. You got $5,000, or in case my man on the phone, 500. Okay, a good amount of money for him. Jason, you and I got $5,000. Nikki, you got $1,000 on the line. Okay, plus our marriages, and all that's on the line. And then you see Berhalter's first lineup, and he's got some kind of 3-5-5-4 thing. I don't know what it is. It's not called the Christian. It's called the Swamp thing. And like I don't know what the lineup is. And all of a sudden it's like, oh God, baby, I gotta tell you something.
Oh yeah, well, no, I wouldn't talk. I would freeze in that moment.
What's the player you could see in the lineup that would instantly strike fear in your heart?
Oh, we're doing that? We're gonna neg somebody? Okay.
I'm just asking you for your honest opinion. It's not negging someone.
Oh man,
because if we're negging Berhalter is what we're doing.
I think maybe it's Jackson Ewell. Maybe it's Jackson Ewell.
That's a good one. He's getting too much play for me right now. He's getting way too much shine for me right now.
He's in the what are we calling this? We call him back to Cupcake.
I'm gonna say Josh Sargent.
Okay, that's a good one too.
If we're in that position, and here's the thing. Okay, I got to pick your poison. No, never mind. Not pick your poison. Just a straight question. Just a straight question.
Okay. All right.
Because I have no second side of this. Do you think any of Berhalter's shoes are worth more than the $5,000 you and I are going to bet on? Are willing to bet?
Yes.
You think he paid more than $5,000 for any of those shoes?
Yeah, I think he's probably got at least a pair.
People are paying more than $5,000 for shoes.
Oh, 100%.
Not like I'm not talking like Kanye or something, but like Greg Berhalter's not rolling in it.
Greg Berhalter's making close to $1 million, if not more. I think he's got enough to drop.
I thought he was making like $500,000. You think he's making $1 million a year? That's what Klinsmann was making.
I want to say it's at least 6. It might be 8. I think it might be 6 or 800,000.
So you're telling me he's dropping 1% of his yearly amount on one pair of shoes?
Hold on. In 2019, Greg Berhalter had a base salary of $1.22 million and an overall compensation of $1.33 million. So there you go.
He's got sneaker money for days.
So this is actually a good point from our man Nicholas Murray. Berhalter didn't pay more than $5,000 for any of those shoes, but they're worth more than that. So his point is that Berhalter's got the hookup. So he's getting the
I thought his point was we all paid for it.
Well, not you and I get. The dues.
If you've ever bought a jersey, you've ever bought a ticket, that's what my man's money's going to, some sneaks.
Yeah, I can't believe you asked that. Like seriously, like again, whether he's
I don't know what shoes are. You think I wear flip flops year round? Like I don't know what shoes cost.
They cost a lot of money. They cost a lot of money. I'm going to tell you that right now.
I remember when Jordans, you could buy them off the shelf in the 80s. I don't know.
Sure, yeah, that's not a thing anymore. That's not a thing.
You got to have a sneaker consigliere now. You know,
if you look for the least popular Jordans, you can get a pair for maybe $150, $200 if you're really scrounging. But if you want the hot stuff, you're going to be paid thousands.
Do you remember when the first Jordans were out and they were cost $100 and you had to ask your parents and they were like, in no world will I ever spend $100 for a pair of shoes for you?
I don't think I cared at the time enough. I don't know. I don't remember.
I remember Jordans coming out though.
Man, I was wearing Airwalks in high school. I wasn't doing anything with the Airwalks. I was just wearing them. Like,
what'd you have? Did you ever have a starter jacket? Did you ever have a starter jacket?
Of course, 100%.
What team was on your starter jacket? Oh, Nicky, here he comes. Here he comes in with the hotness. What's up, Nicky?
I had an Adidas jacket.
Wait, like Adidas soccer jacket?
Yeah, it was like a big winter coat, like an Adidas. It was like their version of a starter coat, but there was no team.
So you couldn't afford a starter jacket, huh? That sucks. How much did the kids clown you at school when you didn't have a starter jacket?
I was going to chime in with, I always wanted Copa Mundials. And my folks would never splurge on those cleats.
What would they put you out there? Some crappy Pumas or something? What you get you out? Did you get some
Nike
Lottos?
I can't remember. No, I never had Lottos, but
Nike back in the day. Now, with the time we're talking about back in the day, Nike did not make good shoes. Nike made crap cleats back in the day. If you had Nikes, you were not rocking good shoes at all.
Well, I mean, Nike really didn't make their move until they forced Brazil to play Ronaldo in the World Cup final after he collapsed in his hotel room. So there's that.
Can I make a guess on what your starter jacket was?
Me? Yeah, of course.
Okay, the easy money is saying Broncos because that was your team. Was that
I believe I had
I want to have
Broncos
a fun one
starter
too.
jacket. Yes,
okay.
I did.
Did you ever have more than one?
I definitely had. Okay, so maybe I don't know if my brother had one and we shared. I remember a Broncos one. Can't be sure.
Can I guess the other one? If there was another one?
I don't know if you're going to get there, but yeah, sure.
I want to guess. I think that you would have been really into the Larry Johnson era Charlotte Hornets.
Everybody had a Hornets starter jacket.
I didn't have a Hornets starter jacket.
But back then, the starter coats, you didn't wear your team that you supported. You just wore whatever was cool. I remember that. I'm your guys' age.
No. I was basic like that. I wore teams I liked. I didn't wear the Hornets. I didn't wear the Bull. I had friends who I live in Virginia and they're wearing Bulls jackets. So you're not a Bulls fan. Shut up. You've never been to Chicago. Get out of here.
Yeah.
I had a Colorado.
I grew up here
Buffaloes
and you rarely saw Bulls coats.
Okay.
Growing up here in Chicago, you rarely saw Bulls coats. You saw like Michigan and Notre Dame, UNLV, Georgetown, and those were like big names like in the 90s. You know, now
my starter jacket, I had USC in the Todd Marinovich era.
Of course you did.
Yeah.
Wait, how did we get here?
We were talking about how much money. I don't know where we got. Oh, we're talking about shoes.
Berhalter shoes.
Berhalter has some fly kicks. That's what you're trying to say. All right, let's come back. So let's get into the roster that Berhalter called up. The 19 guys that are on this team for the pre-camp camp or the camp cupcake. The thing goes into what's the next level? I feel like there's got to be some baking analogy here, right? We go from cupcakes to what's the fancy version of a cupcake? Because that's what the qualifying games are.
Anyway, it's slightly better than I thought it was
slightly better.
cane.
Like I'm talking about, like you go from Camp Cupcake. Anybody can make a cupcake. That's like basic stuff. And to like whatever they're making on the Great British Bake Off, like the patisserie week or whatever. It's got to have like.
I kind of feel this works for both the players that are on it and the baking analogy. Camp Turnover.
It's not bad at all, actually. All right, let's go through the 19 names. I don't want to make a big deal out of this list.
I think those, but listen, you can make way more of a big deal about this list than the one from December, though. Like these guys actually have a chance of participating for the most part.
Well, there are some names, and we're going to pick 50%. Them out. That I don't think 50% is going to go, but there are some names here that we know need to be sharp in order to be effective, and they're already key parts of the team. So this is, again, trying to figure out how to get a couple of guys back up to speed after being out of season because MLS ended, while also maybe giving a look to some young players and some guys who, quote-unquote, deserve a shot. So here we go. Sean Johnson, Gabriel Slonina, that's Gaga to you, Jared, and Matt Turner. I mean, Gaga's there because he's precocious 17 and a dual national.
At 17, instead of Lady Gaga, can we call him Baby Gaga?
You're probably not the first one to suggest that, but he is Baby Gaga.
Okay, let me ask you a question: is Sean Johnson a legitimate third keeper right now, or does Gaga have a chance of like knocking him out for the?
Oh no, I don't think Gaga's anywhere near the third keeper spot. I think it's probably Johnson, and then a decent gap back to Horvath because he's not playing. Because if he was playing, it would be Horvath. And
would you put Saloni above or below Horvath at this point?
Below. He's too young. This is not about he's
for the third keeper spot.
No, I don't think so at all. I do not.
Many coaches
so
are taking a third keeper just as someone for experience and like breed the next level kind of thing.
But you still don't take a 17-year-old. That's crazy. You're not doing that. All right, defenders: George Bello, DeJuan Jones, Brooks Lennon, Aaron Long, Miles Robinson, Walker Zimmerman. And this is what I'm going to say. Like George Bello, could he be part of the final team? Yeah, I guess he could, right? Like there's a few things that they're basing that on. Sam Vines' form in Europe, which has been pretty decent. Joe Scally, if Berhalter sees him as a right and a left back option, which he should. And how does he rate Scally at left back? Because you're not going to take Andy Robinson, Sam Vines, and then also Scally and Bello. I don't think all four of those guys go. There's room for three of those, it feels like, So yeah. I personally think that Bello might be the odd man out, but it's obvious that Berhalter really rates him. Yeah, by the way, I just dropped Felix. I apologize, Felix. We wanted to move on. I know he had something to say on Berhalter. If you want to call back, we'll definitely let you in. That's my fault. All right, so okay. So again, I think Bello's near, but not maybe. Again, there are other options now that make it a little bit more tougher, a little tougher for him. DeJuan Jones is there because you throw the guy a bone after a really good season, but he's not,
good season.
I don't think he's anywhere close to getting into
I think he would have been in the December roster had New England not had been very freshly out of the playoffs when that camp started.
Right.
Can I ask you a question, then a follow-up question on DeJuan Jones?
Sure. Ask away.
Can I call him DJ Jones?
Can you call him DJ Jones? That's
Just
a question
cool?
for him. That's for him.
I'm going to call my man DJ Jones. I think it rolls off the tongue.
Hold on. DJ is not cooler than DeJuan. DeJuan is a cool name by it. You don't need to.
You didn't let me finish my second part of my question.
Okay, here we go.
Can I call him DJ Jazzy Jones?
No, you can absolutely not.
Come on.
No, I'm going to say no to that.
Damn it.
That's a no.
Damn, dog, that's an approach.
DJ Jazzy
Just so you know, I might.
You're working, man. Okay, let's go.
All right, so we got DJ Jazzy Jones. Who else?
Brooks Lennon.
Brooks Lennon. Listen, good. I mean, I think 50-50. He had a in and out game the first game in December. I thought there were moments where he looked good. He's the one, if I remember correctly, played the ball across for Ricardo Pepi where he just failed to finish from 6 yards out. I think there were moments in the game where Brooks Lennon looked good. I think he had moments enough to bring him into this camp. And let's be honest, he's probably going to start this game at right back.
That looks very likely. I mean, it could. Yeah,
DJ Jazzy Jones could push him out, but like it has to have a good first couple weeks of camp. Oh, I mean, listen, there is no game. Right. What am I thinking? There is no game.
About? Yeah,
there's no game.
You just confused the crap out of me. There's no game. Sorry. These guys are just working out ahead of the.
I'm not used to having camps with no games, dude.
I know, right? Miles Robinson again. Miles Robinson. Aaron Long. Let's talk about him first before I get to Miles and Walker. Aaron Long. Is there any chance that Aaron Long is ready to be called up to an A-level squad for qualifiers on the off chance you need him? Because I don't think he's starting.
Okay, I think the real question is, let's say he's 90-minute healthy and he's good to go. No, clearance, he's good. But whether he's his old self or not, let's leave that out for a second. Let's say he's a healthy, 90-minute healthy. The real question is, where in the pecking order does that put him right now? Because that informs the decision on whether or not you bring him in.
The other factor here is that he hasn't played a meaningful game in how long? And you've already got you're likely calling Miles Robinson and Walker Zimmerman. I think you're probably calling both of them. Again, we don't know. Brooks has dropped off the planet.
Let's do our exercise we do from time to time. I give you two center backs, and you tell me which one that you're bringing. Okay, we'll see where he ends up.
Oh, you want to frame this up as a? Yeah. All right, it's a pick your poison.
All right, Aaron Long or Miles Robinson?
Miles Robinson.
You're already thinking about it? Wow! Oh my god!
No. I'm preparing myself. I'm getting ready for the mental space where you're throwing stuff at me, and I got to dodge it.
Aaron Long or Walker Zimmerman?
Walker Zimmerman.
Aaron Long or John Brooks?
I'm still saying John Brooks. I'm not doing that.
Aaron Long or Chris Richards?
Chris Richards. I mean, yeah, he's way down there now. You're right.
No, Aaron Long's got way more experience than Chris Richards. If you're bringing someone to start a World Cup qualifier.
I can't get past the fact that he hasn't played a meaningful game in forever, basically, at this point. I just can't get past that.
Aaron Long or Mark McKenzie?
I would probably take Long before McKenzie.
That's where it gets tough for me as well. That's about the area that it's tough for me. And
that's really rough. That's rough on Mark McKenzie. And I know that you already pointed out that Long has more experience than Richards, and I'm putting Richards ahead of Long, but I don't know. There's something about the level, the consistency. That's where I'm at, right? That's the spot where Long fits in above somebody who's been in the mix recently.
Okay. Aaron Long, or I think we know the answer to this. Let me see. I'm trying to think of a better scenario than man.
You can't tell me Miazga out there because he's not part of it.
Miazga is the one that I had, because he's starting again. He's playing minutes in Spain, so that's pretty much we found the level then, right? It's somewhere between Mark McKenzie and Matt Miazga, or maybe just above. So we're only 3 center backs ahead of him right now. Is there anyone I'm missing? Kessler? You're not going to put Kessler above Long, right?
Hold on. Wait. I put him like 5th. What are you talking about? 3? I put him 5th.
Miles Robinson, Zimmerman, Brooks. Yeah, that's as far as Richards. Excuse me, you haven't
Richards. I got him 5th on there. And look,
got him 5th.
That's 2 groups of 2, and you're probably taking 4 center backs, right? And especially in a 3-game set, you're taking 4 center backs. I don't think we're getting to.
What about Scottish Defender of the Year,
Cameron Carter-Vickers?
He just hasn't been in the program.
I want Cameron Carter-Vickers to be a part of this because I think...
Has there ever been a more beastly-looking player than Cameron Carter-Vickers?
I wouldn't mind having a Bulldog in reserve, right? But he hasn't been in the mix. So if I'm being practical, I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about just being practical based on the view of the program right now. He hasn't had a sniff in so long. I can't imagine that Greg Berhalter picks up the phone, does his best Scottish accent, and get your ass to camp. It's not going to happen.
Let me just make sure then. Kessler or Long?
Long.
Okay. Kessler had good season, playing good minutes for a good team in MLS, but it's still Long.
Long. Okay. I'm not sure I'm a Kessler believer as much as I like his shithousery. I don't think I'm a Kessler believer.
They're just very different. Yeah, I thought about Tim Ream, but I don't. Let's not even put that in the chat, but that might manifest itself.
Yeah, Birdman, you play Sands at center back over Long right now. Long isn't even on the radar. Maybe, but I don't like Sands at center back.
I am not playing Sands before Long. I would bring Long in at 80% before I put Sands in the back line.
And by the way, this is the same thing. How do I get experience for the job if I can't get the job to get the experience? Tyler's saying he'll never be in the mix, meaning CCV, if you don't bring him in. I think the ship has sailed, unfortunately, for Cameron Carter-Vickers.
Come on, the dude's 20 or something. How old is he?
No, in this cycle. He's 20.
This cycle. Okay, gotcha.
He's 23. I want to say he's 23, 24. He's been around
Last time I looked it up, he was younger than I thought he was. But
because he's been around forever. Because he was in the youth. He's 24. He just turned 24 on the 31st of December.
And you're also taking Long over Miazga, correct?
I am. Yeah, man, that one's tougher. Because Miazga is at least playing a little bit in a top level league, right? I think he's limited too. I like Long as a player better, but if we're talking about right now, again, without Long having any minutes, I might take Miazga over Long.
So what we're really saying is that Aaron Long is close enough to being necessary that he should be in this camp and he should be getting these minutes in these rotations with this group.
It's fine. Again, but this group, this defender group, is largely outside of maybe the odd chance that Bello, I guess, works his way into that left back rotation. Again, this is about getting Robinson and Zimmerman up to speed. That's what this is, right? I mean, if you're talking about this camp and putting them through scrimmages against each other, you're trying to get as much live-ish action as possible so that they can play games that mean something after not playing for 2 months.
I'm loving that Aaron Long and Walker Zimmerman are in the same camp because Walker Zimmerman and Aaron Long are battling for the same position, first of all, but that also means the one thing Aaron Long has on Zimmerman is that he's got the experience. He's been in these camps. He's played this position. And these guys are battling. They're seeing how each other are playing the same position day in, day out. I think that's a valuable thing. I still think it's Zimmerman's job to lose. That even goes for John Brooks, who usually plays on the left side. This was probably, he's battling more with Miles Robinson potentially. But I love the 1-2 combination. And listen, I like John Brooks as the backup for Miles Robinson, and I like Aaron Long as the backup for Walker Zimmerman. But I would still put Chris Richards above Long in this scenario as well.
Okay, I'm going to come just one last thing on CCV. Tyler's saying, I don't understand why they never called up Vickers in the last year or so. I'm not defending Berhalter on this, but I can guarantee you they don't think he's good enough with the ball to play in this system. I guarantee you. Didn't he
just join Celtic
he wasn't playing much.
The year? Yeah.
Right. He wasn't playing much. He just got to Celtic. He's now put minutes under his belt, and he's playing well. And again, I don't rate Scotland very much, so there's also that, right? James Sands is going to go over there and play.
I'll agree with you on that, but I do think defense is the one thing you actually can pull information from in Scotland.
Okay, that's probably fair. And you don't necessarily need to be playing like if you're playing at a really high level in Scotland, you're probably good enough. You're probably playing at a high enough level.
Let's not forget Scotland was good enough for Claudio Reyna, Maurice Sadu, DeMarcus Beasley. These guys all played in Scotland.
That. I think the league has declined since.
I don't think it's where it was either. Yeah, no, agreed.
Midfielders: Kellen Acosta, Cole Bassett, Georgi Mihalovic, Sebastian Lletget, Christian Roldan, Jackson Ewing. Before everybody goes apoplectic and gets all upset about Lletget being here and Roldan being here and Jackson Ewing being here, what are you going to do? Who else are you calling up? I mean, Georgie's here. I'm glad for that. He should have been he would have been in the December camp if not for the Bologna thing. Acosta serves a role. He's not going to lead us to glory at the World Cup, but we need Kellen Acosta. We need him as a 6, not as an 8, but there it is. And that's it. I mean, for me, that's what the midfield is. It's very possible that Berhalter's going to include Roldan, probably Lletget in the full squad. He probably will. I don't know that anybody else outside of Acosta, of course, are going to be in that
as well. Yeah, I think Acosta, Lletget, and Roldan. I think it's only one of the two of Lletget or Roldan, to be honest with you. I think it's one of those two. I think it's gotten to that point, especially with Giovanni Reyna potentially coming back. I think that
there's a question about Gio. Now it's the same question that he faced with Pulisic coming off of his injury and being included in the camp for Mexico.
3 weeks away from the game right now, just under 3 weeks.
The 27th. So whatever that is. Yeah. So is Giovanni? We'll leave this question for later, actually, because it's the same one that he answered with Pulisic, and we know how he answered it with Pulisic. So I think it's going to be the same answer with Reyna. But that's why Georgi Mihalovic is not going to be.
The problem when you look at this list of midfielders is there's only one that gives you an offensive game changer. Like it gives you an truly offensive minded.
I think you have to give Bassett some credit in that area a little bit, but Mihalovic is the one guy.
Two-way though? I don't know.
No, he is. Mihalovic. This is the thing about Mihalovic, and in a January camp that wasn't leading into qualifiers in a World Cup year, the focus for me, if this was the camp for a game at the end against Bosnia, I would be asking, where does Georgie play in Berhalter's system? Because I don't know where that is.
Yeah, refresh me, because I didn't watch a lot of Montreal. Was he playing more from the center or from wide position?
I mean, he's more of a central player, but he's not a two-way, a classic two-way player, right? So he's going to give you a lot more. I think if you put
if we were fielding a team out of this right here, and I know we're not, but if we were fielding a team out of this, I believe you can have Mihalovic be successful if you put Kellen Acosta and someone like a Cole Bassett in there with him. I think there's enough defensive cover then that you're not asking him to do much.
Well, that's fine. You're not playing Lletget and Mihalovic together.
Because you want to do something. I mean, if you're truly trying to find a system, you want to mimic what you do in the A team with the B team. And in Kellen Acosta, you have the backup for Tyler Adams that number 6 to be defensive minded. And in Cole Bassett, you have someone like McKennie that's going to be more two-way, try to win the ball, get the ball onto the feet of the guy who's going to advance the ball, and that's Mihalovic. Now Mihalovic is not like a Musa, though. That's where it's different in these two things. Where there is no Musa-style player here that's going to run with the ball in midfield, but Mihalovic can create from the same part of the field that you're asking Musa to get the ball a lot of the time.
He is listed as a midfielder. That doesn't always mean anything. I think it's possible. I hope it's not the answer, but I hope I think it's possible. And again, there's no game here, and Mihalovic is not going to be part of the A squad, so I don't think it matters. But he can't really.
If we're going to take the mental leap, though, Mihalovic has more to offer different than the other midfielders in this camp.
No. Okay, I'm going to say. Tell me if I'm wrong about. Again, you said you didn't see a lot of Mihalovic, so I'm going to ask the chat as well.
A decent amount, but I didn't watch a lot of Montreal games. I'll be honest with you.
Well, of course, and I think that was hard this year. A lot of people, he went under the radar. He had an incredible year, and he was under the radar.
Yeah.
I think that's the fair thing to say. If you're going to play a creative player who maybe is not as strong defensively in one of those two-way spots that the U.S. uses, if you want to call them that, wouldn't the answer be Reyna and not Mihalovic? So what I'm saying
I'm not talking about starting.
No. I realize that, but I'm saying, like, I'm saying like down the line. Again, Mihalovic is not going to be part of the A squad for this camp, for this coming set of qualifiers. But let's imagine a future in which Mihalovic is pushing his way in. Maybe he has another incredible year at Montreal throughout the summer, and now you're like, oh, maybe that's a creative force we could use at the World Cup off the bench. But if you're going to play him, like I would think Reyna would be the guy who slips into that position. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I don't know if there's room for two of them like that. Is my point, right? And Reyna can play wide, whereas I'm not sure Mihalovic can do that as effectively. Right?
Okay. I think we should go through the forwards because I think you're getting to a point right now that you kind of wanted to bring up as a topic. So let's go through the forwards, and then you have a really interesting thought experiment to do that kind of is along these lines.
Forwards are Paul Arriola, Jesus Ferreira, new designated player for FC Dallas, Jordan Morris,
cool move,
and Jossie Zardes. Look, Morris is the only one that I could see breaking into the first team out of this group. That's not true. Ferreira, I forgot about Ferreira, that he got called in the last time and that he played.
Well, let's not forget that Jossie Zardes may be the second best striker in our pool.
Yeah, that's probably
he might be the first, for God's sakes. I don't know.
Okay, you know what? Forget what I just said, because
I think all four of these guys have something to be said. And not that I rate them all, but I think Berhalter rates Arriola as a potential starter for the men's national team.
Yeah, I think that's probably okay. So that's again, we know enough about these guys. I think if you're not seeing a game with this team.
I think 50% of this camp sees minutes in these last 6 games. 50% of the guys here
50%.
get minutes.
So
in the last 6 games.
There's 19. You're saying 9-ish guys, 9 to 10
I think
guys.
Matt Turner potentially sees minutes.
Okay, yeah, go through them for me. I don't want to count them.
Matt Turner potentially sees minutes. I think Bello. It depends on what it's a choice, but there's potential that Matt Turner could get minutes. He'll be on the roster for sure. Okay, George Bello.
Okay,
Miles Robinson, Walker Zimmerman.
Okay, it's 4.
Kellen Acosta potentially sees minutes because 3-game windows.
Okay, that's 5.
I'm gonna go one of either Sebastian or Roldan. So let's just give one there. That consists of 5.
Okay.
Paul Arriola.
Okay. Okay.
Jordan Morris. 3-game windows, dude.
I don't think Morris is going to get. I don't think Morris is ready. But that's me. But go ahead.
Jossie Zardes.
Zardes for sure. I think you're close.
And then you could easily say maybe Ferreira gets minutes and maybe Leggett and Rodon, the other one, also does as well. You could easily be at 10.
I guess part of this is the exchange. Now, again, this is going to be a bigger squad because of the 3-game window. And this does get to us to an interesting question. Okay, this is more about COVID and the potential ramifications of an outbreak. But I had a listener on my my radio show, which I'm doing that for another year. Did you know I have a radio show and that I'm doing it for yet another year?
They signed you to a DP contract?
WNBC.
Man, I hope so.
WNBC.
It's a World Cup year. I hope it's good. I hope it's good. All right.
Nice.
I had a listener.
Congratulations, by the way.
Incredible. I don't have a contract for 2022. Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Okay.
I had a listener say, with COVID, with the potential for an outbreak, do you think it would be wise for Berhalter to call up a second squad that he would then segregate from the first squad in case there is an outbreak so that he can have replacement players, essentially? He said utilize or leverage our depth. Now, I think there are a couple of ways to think about this. One is just like, here's your first team, and they're over there, and they're training and getting ready for 3 games. You hope nothing goes wrong. And here's another group of players that are obviously not first choice, but they're getting ready. Or you kind of have to mix and match a little bit so that you don't lose completely. You're not going completely.
The most important thing is, what do you call the second team?
I call it a shadow squad. That's in my mind, it's a shadow squad.
Super badass.
That's very cool.
Super badass.
I mean,
okay, that's like a group of superheroes that you don't know the names of. They just show up. Right. Yeah. Crimes are solved, and you don't know how they did it. Shadow Squad.
That's definitely a DC comic and not a Marvel.
That's a DC.
Though, right?
That's a DC comic.
100% a DC. Like if there was a movie on an airplane and it said Shadow Squad, I would be like, yeah, that makes sense.
Let's be honest. The COVID thing's going crazy right now, dude.
It's not good.
There's Slack. We've got multiple people.
To that point, Andrew was just talking about how the fact that Canada, they were supposed to do the same thing the U.S. is doing with this camp, and they shut it down because of COVID. So they're going to be a little bit at a disadvantage because they're not going to have that same preparation time, at least for their.
It may have been a good idea. I'm not going to lie. There's definitely a thought there about, do you want to get? We talk about Miles Robinson and Walker Zimmerman are together right now in this camp. If they both come down with COVID, now we're talking about Aaron Long. Oh wait, he's in this camp too. Now we're pulling 2 Germany guys and Kessler and Mark McKenzie probably as your 4. It gets shaky real quick.
And that's the thing. It's not even just like it's not even so you might be able to call in replacements. I actually don't know how that's going to work with CONCACAF, and who knows, again, COVID rules and everything, but you could conceivably, we had an outbreak 3 days, 4 days before the game, call up whoever got left off. Mark McKenzie, John Brooks, if you're talking about center backs, whoever got left off. Call up Luca De La Torre, whose name is not mentioned on this show yet, but let's get it in.
Mm-hmm.
Luca De La Torre. Or you call up 23, 25 guys. Mm-hmm. Again, you might go bigger because of 3-game window, and if you want, you would prefer to have that first team play in all 3 of those games. And then you also call up another 16 guys.
Let's go through the thought experiment of having another full 23-man roster somewhere else locally nearby.
You're really going to stress.
Do you want to? You can't just do 11 because you're not going to have any subs.
Well, so now we got to go through the first team roster and then come back.
But we'll just talk about 11. We'll talk about an 11. But
11, okay.
Let's talk about an 11, okay?
Okay, all right.
You bring them in. They're in a different hotel, same city.
Right. Yeah.
Different training grounds, same city.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. And then here's where the interesting part comes to me.
Okay.
You can't just have a walkover 11 that you're going to put out there, right? You can't put just some super
that's what I'm saying.
Easy.
Yeah.
So what components of the original 23 do maybe you hold out?
Right. Well, so if you're doing first 11 and second 11, so that's the thing. Okay, but you're calculating here.
You're doing first 11 and third 11 by taking some second 11 out.
Man.
Because the second 11's in the first team.
Right. Okay. So let's go through you're playing an important.
If I was going to strategically pull out some players that maybe won't get too many minutes from the upper 23-man roster that you would have segregated that could be difference makers. If you had to play this other team, who do you start with?
So my brain says maybe that's where you put Gio because he's not 100% fit, but you put him in the shadow squad because then if you have to break glass in case of emergency, you got a Gio Reyna.
Is there a cooler captain of a shadow squad than Gio Reyna?
Oh, man. I mean,
okay, and I'm going to say this too.
Right?
Sean Johnson.
Okay,
Sean Johnson is for sure in the shadow squad because he's probably not going to feature as the third keeper, but he's good enough to start if you need that back.
I think that's
back
fair.
line.
Yeah.
Aaron Long's on the shadow squad.
Aaron Long's on the shadow squad. I think probably, man, how deep are you going? Miles
Aaron
Walker.
Long and Mark McKenzie are on the shadow squad.
I think Aaron Long and Mark McKenzie are your shadow squad guys. I think you're right about that. That's
where it is right there.
Well,
we're not going outside the 11. Right. Yeah, whatever. It's shadow squad, man. You might play 2 righties. You know, it's crazy what the shadow squad does. You don't know what they do.
Yeah. Okay. So,
you might have 2 Wolverines on there, 2 guys with claws. This is too repetitive.
Harold said Jonathan Gomez for the shadow squad.
Love Jonathan Gomez as a shout out for the shadow squad. I like that because it also needs to be kind of domestic too.
Hold on. Why isn't Cameron Carter-Vickers getting a call up to the shadow squad? Should we call him up to the shadow squad?
Are you going to put him? You're going to put shadow squad above Mark McKenzie, Cameron Carter-Vickers, or above Aaron Long?
No, Mark McKenzie first.
No, shadow squad BT reserves. Cool, but we're not talking about reserves. We're not talking. We're talking 11. 11. I'm not taking either of them on the 11 over Aaron Long or Mark McKenzie.
Okay. All right. So, but you have to have backups for the first group. So you're saying
you have to leave some backups up there, So so far we've pulled Sean Johnson from the upper 23. We've pulled him.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh my God, right. Michael Bradley or Josie Alto for shadow squad.
No, that's Canadian. That's a Canadian agent. He's trying to mess with us. Don't worry about him. Don't worry about agent.
All right. So let's see here. Right back. This is where you maybe pluck a little something from the upper team. Because you got Scally, you got Dest.
I think Scally's the guy for the shadow squad, isn't he?
And that's a difference maker, right? If you have him on your team.
Okay, you know what? And Morgan said this earlier in our private chat. Serginho Dest is not playing well or at all in some cases right now. Are you comfortable with him being a starter? And if he's not a starter, maybe he's a shadow squad guy, and you have a Joe Scally with the first team, or you have somebody else out. I mean, DeAndre Yedlin.
I think you're killing his transfer value. You put him on the shadow squad.
Am I going to worry about transfer value?
You can't ghost the dude in the middle of a transfer battle. Let him secure his deal. I think it's all good. You don't want Serginho Dest on the field against El Salvador at home?
Yeah, I probably do. I probably do want him on the field. Yeah.
Look, think last time that when he scored that worldie, man. He was the guy that finally broke down what was going on against a bunkered-in defense. Okay, move into the midfield. Here's definitely where you pull some people from the top. You're pulling either Leggett or Roldan in. for sure. Maybe both. To be honest with you,
man, okay.
Okay, here's the question: If you're gonna take two of these three,
give me. Okay, your starting midfield is Adams, Musa, and McKennie, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. You're putting Kellen Acosta into the first team.
You can't. You got to leave Kellen Acosta in the first team.
He's too critical as a backup. Okay.
Yep.
Who's your back? So again, let me come back to Luca Della Torre. Where is he? Is he in the shadow squad? Put him in the shadow squad.
And that's what I was just gonna say. 2 of the 3 of Della Torre, Leggett, and Roldan go to shadow squad. But which 2?
Leggett, probably. I guess Leggett seems like a shadow squad guy because Roldan. Yeah, I think that I don't know that I want Roldan starting, but if I have to start,
I'm gonna say Leggett because I'm bringing Mihalovic on my shadow squad. And I don't think I want the Della Torre and Mihalovic both there, like in that part of the field.
And he's so new to this group. It's hard for me to he's a shadow squad guy, but maybe he is.
Somebody need a difference maker. You need somebody to roll the dice. Oh, dude,
can we call him Darlington Nagbe for the shadow squad? But if
he can do it from his home, he'll probably do it. He just flies in if he gets called in. He ain't gonna go to the camp. He's not gonna go sit in a camp.
Actually, you know what? That's a great idea. You have the shadow squad, and then you just
have a button that just says Nagbe is somewhere, and you push it, and like a helicopter lands in his front yard.
That's what I'm saying. Oh, I think that's the guy you make that you make those arrangements for that guy. If there's one, because Darlington Nagbe in some worlds is still
Nagbe's eating he's eating pork rinds on his couch. He hasn't done anything this off season, dude. Like you can't just bring him into shadow squad.
Nah, that dude's in shape. Okay, so we're still in midfield. So we're
midfield. I'm taking. Okay. I'm gonna say Leggett.
Who's your 6?
Okay, my 6. That's a tough one. I'm actually gonna go with. Okay, stay with me here.
Don't say Jackson Ewell. You can't do that, right?
Now, why am I blanking on the name right now? New York City FC.
James Sands, not
James Sands. The German guy,
Alfredo Morales.
Alfredo Morales. That's what I'm taking my shadow squad 6.
Interesting.
Alfredo Morales, shadow squad 6, played in big games in Europe. The guy has done it. Okay, if he can come in and stay. I like him more than I like him more than a Cardoso. I like him more than a Ewell. I like him more than a Sands.
You like him more than a Matt Polster?
Yes.
Okay.
I think he's had a fantastic season, and he was playing more recently. He's more in shape than a lot of these other guys we're going to be talking about.
All right, that's fair. That's interesting. Okay, Alfredo
Morales, Leggett, Mihalovic.
Okay. So all right, and we're just doing 11. Anybody's throwing out a bunch of names that would be like Julian Green would kind of be a backup in a shadow squad, but we're not talking about backups in the shadow squad right now.
Nope, we're just talking 11s.
Because it's got to be decent enough that you think you can go beat El Salvador, right?
3-man shadow squad forward core. This is where it gets stupid.
Dicey. By the way, Tanner Tessman's an interesting shadow squad shout as well.
Oh, that is a good call. I have to bring a guy from Europe though for shadow squad, but we're talking about it a little bit, I guess.
I mean, yeah, okay. I see what you're saying, but look,
Alfredo Morales has had national team minutes significantly. He's had a good amount of national team minutes.
That is fair. That's a true and fair point. Right,
and I also would say Alfredo Morales might get a call up just for a basic look at some point here. That's how good his season was. So we forget that he was part of this at times. All right, yeah. Strikers, baby. All right. So do you let DK go with the 23? Do you let both DK and Pepi go with the 23? And if you do, that means you potentially have Zardes on your shadow squad or PFOC on your shadow squad.
I think that I want to leave Zardes with the first team as the backup to Pepi, and then I think I want to bring DK to the shadow squad. I know that's probably unfair to DK a little bit, but I want somebody. I want somebody where if we have to really just get ugly with it, that's a guy who can go score goals. He's
going to punish his back line for 90 minutes.
Yeah. He's going to go and just bully some dudes and score some goals.
I
think that
he's in the second division in Europe. You're putting the second division with the national team too. Okay.
No, but I'm making I understand it's unfair to him, but I'm making a calculated decision based on the relative strength in case I need my shadow squad. I don't want my shadow squad to be toothless. I don't want them to I get maybe PFOC's the perfect shadow squad guy, and you leave DK with the first team. I don't, and I guess you're carrying 3 strikers anyway, so Zardes stays up there as well. I guess. I don't know.
Okay, 2 guys next to him. Now I know you think Jordan Morris maybe isn't ready.
Another name, but he's not scoring, so I can't throw him in there.
Jordan Morris, you said maybe isn't ready for the full team. Is he a shadow squad difference maker, or do you take him as a backup somewhere in the original 23?
Well, so let's go through what that group looks like right now, right? Because Pulisic's
I have to
healthy and
remember everything
playing.
I said. Oh, you mean the top one?
No, I
Okay.
just mean if you were just calling up one team,
Pulisic's
Pulisic's in
healthy?
that team, Aronson's in that team,
Yep.
Weah's probably in that team right now.
What we said is maybe we bring Reina to the Shadow Squad. So is that where you put him right now?
I
And
think
you leave
maybe,
Jordan
yeah,
Morris with the you leave Jordan Morris with the main squad, and you bring Gio Reyna to the Shadow Squad.
because I don't think Gio's starting with the first team, all things considered, at the moment.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's the move. I think you bring Gio to the Shadow Squad. If you have to play him, you only play him in a case of emergency when you've got to get on the bat phone and call up the Shadow Squad.
Okay, that leaves you one other
It's not
forward
called a bat
starter.
phone. It needs a name. It can't be the bat phone. It's got to be
The
something
Shadow
else.
Phone.
The Shadow Phone. The Shadow Phone. Okay. All right.
Let's see. So now we got one striker left. You got a wide striker left on the other side.
On the other side. Okay, so playing time has dropped off for our man Conrad, right? Not really at it at the moment.
Did he get COVID as well?
He
Maybe
might have
I'm
gotten
wrong on
COVID.
him. Maybe
Lots
I'm
of
wrong
people
on
are getting
him. Yeah,
COVID.
this
It's hard
is
for me
tough
to
to
keep
carry.
up with everybody who's got some COVID. Is
Tough to keep
what
track.
I'm saying. Who else is out there that makes sense in that
Hoppy's
spot?
out there, but just coming back from injury. But we're
Yeah.
talking 3 weeks from now. He could be
I don't-
ready
I
in the
don't-
future.
Yeah.
If he was
know Hoppy-
healthy, I would take Hoppy in a second because that dude would just he would treat this like he's sopping up playtime with a biscuit with gravy. Like he's just gonna get every
You're
bit of
right.
it out of it.
You're right.
Matthew
You're
Hoppy's the most Shadow Squad person I've ever thought of, to be honest with you.
You think
that
you
dude?
think Hoppy screams Shadow Squad?
He has a chip on his shoulder so big for
does.
Shadow Squad.
He does. You're right. You're right.
Will anyone
Okay.
feel more grieved that he's even on the Shadow Squad and have to prove that he's not, but doesn't belong there?
Well, Luca's like that too, which is why I think he's got to be in this group, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I would actually let him be the main squad if you're pulling.
By the way,
Jet down.
Richie Ledesma's back too. I'm not saying he's in form, but Richie
needs some
Ledesma's
time.
back.
He
You
needs-
think he needs
we didn't
time?
talk Busio. We didn't mention
not mention-
Busio this whole
I
time.
think Bucio's with the first team now.
Yeah, I think you're
he
right.
is.
I think you're right. That's
Yeah.
McKinney's probably natural backup
This,
right
is,
now.
this is true. Nate says this about Hoppy. He's a Shadow Squad tattoo.
And it's right where the chair stamp would be.
Oh man, what is the Shadow Squad logo? Because you got the U.S. Soccer logo for the first team, just a normal one, and it's got to be like a dark, twisted, almost Punisher kind of take on it, like a dark,
Yeah.
like alternate universe DC comic kind of thing, right?
I almost feel it's like who's the one player that should have always been the national team and never got their shot and just had him in a dark, evil way? Like who's the guy that always should have got a shot and never did right? No. It's Eric Winalda.
Eric Ronaldo is what, the manager of the Shadow Squad?
He's the manager, mascot, spirit animal. He's everything. Nothing says more Shadow Squad than Eric Winalda.
Oh man, I like Eric Ronaldo. I hope he's listening. I hope he hears about this. I love
Dude,
Eric. I hope
you
he
tell
hears-
me that if you told Eric
I'm
Winalda
not
you
saying
can
it's
coach
a wrong call. I'm not saying it's a
if
wrong
you told
call.
Eric Winalda, will you accept the call up to coach Shadow Squad? You don't think that dude's gonna say like, "Give me my shot, give
Somebody's
me my
gotta do this
shot
for us.
Give me
Somebody's
any
gotta-
11, give me any 11 in the pool, and I'm gonna go
yeah.
out there and win."
Oh yeah, Eric Ronaldo would believe he could take the Shadow Squad and beat the first team straight up. Absolutely. And Corey is right. Opposite colors on a color spectrum and then upside down. So you had to take the U.S. Soccer logo, flip the colors 100% in terms of their color spectrum, and then that's the logo for the show. Maybe that might be one option. We could take some ideas. Man, we went deep on the Shadow Squad. I didn't know.
Well, it's just so fun to say.
All right. Is there any other business that Ricardo Pepi, 18 mil, 20 mil, whatever it is, going through Augsburg.
Crazy money
Jerry,
for them.
So that's double-ish their transfer record. There is an interesting note that the guy who just bought RSL, David Blitzer, also has a piece of Augsburg. So that's a thing. They're fighting against relegation. He's about to turn 19. In fact, today, he's turning 19 today. Happy birthday to Feliz cumpleaños, Ricardo Pepi. Congratulations on turning 19. I don't know what that means in Germany, but there you go. What do you think, Jared? What do you think?
Listen, I think it's the right move in theory. Excuse me.
Eddie Johnson on the Shadow Squad is a great call, too. Sorry. I'm sorry. That's a great call. Eddie Johnson has to be involved in the Shadow Squad.
If you're ticking off boxes of what Ricardo Pepi has to do,
Yeah.
he has to get minutes. Will he get minutes at Augsburg? Yes. Yeah.
He just did. Just made his debut.
Yeah. You want him to go someplace where he's going to be challenged and play at a high level. Bundesliga, check. You want him to go someplace that potentially will build his confidence. Sure, you're getting starting minutes for the team. You can get that. The one thing that's not going to be checked in this move is, will he be playing first team minutes next year leading into the World Cup? That's the thing.
First team,
playing top level. Excuse me.
You mean playing
first division
minutes?
First division minutes.
First division
Augsburg.
minutes.
This will be honest where they're at. The 15th, I think, right now in the Bundesliga.
I need to check the updated standings, but they were ahead of him.
They're within the possibility of being relegated. Realistically,
yes, very much so. Very much.
So,
although
shot.
To be fair, hold on. To be fair, only 2 spots are really. They are, by the way, they have dropped into the playoff relegation spot because Germany does 2 automatic relegations, and then the 16th place team goes to the play. This is how Josh Sargent and Werder Bremen stayed up for an extra year. They went to the playoffs and managed to win. So right now, because of their result this weekend, Augsburg is in 16th place, tied with Stuttgart on points, but behind them on goal difference. So that's just to give the picture of this. Go ahead.
Yeah. So the one thing that could be a knock on this deal, otherwise I think they've hit a home run here, is next year.
Sorry, my point was that Firth is definitely going down. They're so bad. So there's really only 2 relegation spots that are kind of there. So anyway, go ahead.
Next year, when you're about to go to Qatar, and the months before you go to Qatar to play the World Cup, is Ricardo Pepi going to be playing against 1860 Munich or Bayern Munich? That's what we're talking about.
How much do you think that matters?
I bet you that Berhalter told him it doesn't matter if he's playing well and scoring. I think because it sounds like he got Berhalter's blessing on this. There's been a lot of quotes about what he and Berhalter talked about. Yeah. And I think the kid made a very good grown man decision about where to go. He stayed away from the bright lights. Some of the names that were out there being talked about, Premier League and Bundesliga, even Ajax, which we also thought would be a good move for him. Yeah. This is probably the best ideal scenario for him, provided he gets results. Provided and he's betting on himself. And that's you want a kid that 18-year-old is not afraid to bet on himself and say, I'm the guy that's going to help keep this team up. Because that's what they're hiring him to do.
We want, I think this is the position on the field. And this is why everybody was so frustrated with what Josh Sargent chose. Again, he definitely would have taken a reputation hit if he was playing in the second Bundesliga after the drop for Werder Bremen. But we were all frustrated because he could have been there getting minutes, scoring goals at a slightly lower level in a team that was going to be one of the better teams in the second division, as opposed to struggling at Norwich where he can't score to save his life. And that's partly him, but also partly the fact that it's Norwich in the Premier League. Whereas Pepi, again, being so young, having this opportunity, and look, of course, we would love to have a striker in the Premier League or the Bundesliga scoring bucket loads of goals. Of course, that's what we want. If that striker appears, if Daryl Dike starts burning up at West Brom and makes a Premier League move ahead of the World Cup next year and is scoring goals, that's our guy. But if Ricardo Pepi is going to be the guy, just have him scoring goals. Like, he's not going to drop down to the third division. He's not going to be playing in in League One, right? He's going to be playing at a very good level, even if they don't stay up this year.
I got an interesting pick your poison for you then. You just made it for me right there.
Okay, let's do this.
First game of the World Cup. Yeah. You got to pick a striker for your first game of your World Cup. Your choices are Daryl Dike, halfway through the season, on 4 goals for a promoted Premier League team. 4 goals in the first.
It won't even be halfway, but 4 goals. Yeah, okay. That's still a reasonable
4 goals. Yeah. Ricardo Pepi in the second Bundesliga with 8 goals in the same amount of time. Who are you taking as your starter?
I am picking Pepi. By the way, that's about the goals that you just gave me, the number of goals, and again, different levels. But it's also about the players. And it's not that I don't think that Daryl Dike is a very good player, that he can't do a lot of things, but I think Ricardo Pepi has a next
so if I just took the goals out and they both have 4 goals at that point, you're still going Pepi.
That one might be tough.
It's tough because what kind of goals were they? Like, how did they do them? Like, what else are they doing? It's not a fair question, but it's an interesting thought experiment to go through with yourself.
Yeah, it's tough.
And think about how much does league matter? How much does the league matter when it comes to these guys? I don't know.
So here's a good example. I mean, obviously we kind of forced upon Berhalter, and it was fine. And we knew he was going to. We kind of knew he was going to succeed. But Brendan Aronson does not play at a high level week to week. He plays in the Champions League occasionally.
But he plays almost as best as he possibly could at that level.
Yes, exactly. And he's got full of confidence, and he's playing well for a team that's dominating their league. Yeah, I that's good. I mean, that's fine. Now, again, I want Brendan Aronson to make the jump to the Bundesliga next year or some higher level and also be playing that well, because then even better. But it's not like playing in Austria makes Brendan Aronson a bad player if he is confident.
What do you think about Leipzig not taking Caden Clark when they were supposed to take him right here in this window?
I think it's smart.
And the thoughts and the talk about Brendan Aronson potentially going to Leipzig. Do you think Aronson is leapfrogging Caden Clark in Leipzig's plans?
I've not heard how strong any interest in Aronson might be at Leipzig, but I have heard Milan mentioned for Aronson, and it's been a little while. And things have already started. We're a week plus into the transfer window. I don't know if Aronson goes now, and I kind of don't want him to, considering there's already some moving. But so for Pepi and for DK to go now it's great for the national team because they weren't going to be playing games until February. Yeah. And obviously we have qualifiers. So get them in camp, get them minutes if possible. Pepi's already got 30 minutes under his belt from his debut. Whereas for Aronson, he's already playing in a league operating right now in season. He's in form. I don't want him to be making a jump right now. Now, if you talk to me after the World Cup next year, I think I would probably rather him go to Italy than to Leipzig right now. And I don't know, that's just a gut thing more than anything else, because the Bundesliga is very good, better than Italy top to bottom. Who knows?
Do you want him to make that move next fall before the World Cup, where he might be fighting for time, or stay where he's at playing at he's going to get minutes going into the World Cup?
I don't want anybody who might be important to the World Cup to be making a move to a higher level where minutes are going to be questionable ahead of the World Cup.
What if it's Tyler Adams to Arsenal?
That would be okay. I wouldn't think that that's a great thing, but that would be okay if he's playing the Premier League week to week. I mean, Arsenal is Arsenal right now. That's not great, but yeah. You know,
a lot of things can happen. The American players are getting way more activity, rumor, and actual legit possibility of big moves than we've ever had before. And this is what the rest of the world, like actual World Cup potential contenders, deal with every World Cup cycle.
World Cup contenders. For
us,
sure.
it's not kind of a new thing for us.
Let me throw something at you real quick. And I know we're already up against the end of the show here, but Megan Rapinoe went on Yael Averbush's podcast, Football Americana, and answered a question about when she thought the U.S. men's national team would be competitive with the top teams in the world. And she said, first of all, I'll get your take on this. She said 15 years. What's your gut when you hear 15 years?
I thought the comment was when they would win, not when they'd be competitive.
I thought she said compete, but if you
Morgan,
did say
can you
win,
confirm on that? Because I'm sure she knows the answer to it. But I thought I had read the other
could
way
win, not will win, obviously, but could win. I guess. Let's take it that way.
I don't think she's wrong. The only thing that would make me think she's wrong on that is that we get to host the World Cup in a few years, and we know what that does to home teams a lot of the time.
Okay. So you think 15
other than
years
that, I feel like she's correct.
Okay, you think 15 years is a reasonable number? I actually thought it kind of.
U.S. soccer fans don't want to hear that. U.S. soccer fans don't want to hear that.
Yeah, it was win. Kyle says it was win. Okay, 15 years to win is that's a great. If that's possible, Megan Rapinoe can't predict the future, but if that's possible, I'm signing up for that. Hell yes, let's go.
Yeah,
I mean, I know
teams like the Netherlands
that
have never won one. Okay,
yes, right.
There's plenty of really good soccer teams out there, the countries that have never won a World Cup.
Right,
we're not entitled to one.
She even said about our team. The rest
Mexico
of the world
hasn't won one.
Doesn't stop just because we're making good players suddenly, right? It's not. And okay, the other thing she said, which is interesting, is that
I don't think she's throwing shade either. Let's make that clear.
No, she's definitely not throwing shade. She also said that we won't be at that level to compete for winning a World Cup until our players are the best player in their club teams, or I guess sort of the key player. Yeah. What do you think of that take?
Listen, it's a team game, so I don't necessarily know that there's teams that have won without because Cristiano Ronaldo's never won a World Cup, even though he's the best player on every team he's ever been on. It's not just about that. Is it important? Sure. Does it help? Hell yeah. But it's not the only thing. Lionel Messi has never won a World Cup, even though he's the best player on any team he's been on.
Well, it's got to be more than one player, right? It's got to be like
for sure.
4 or 5
and
or 6
that's what I'm saying.
Players.
You don't have to be the best player on your team. You just have to play the best as a team. And I think
if we have a Christian Pulisic, who's maybe not the best player at Chelsea, but then we've got a Gio Reyna who could be, especially if Haaland gets sold, could be the best player at Dortmund in 4 years. I'm not talking about now, but in 4 years at the World Cup comes to the United States, and then you kind of sprinkle in who knows where Dest will be, but right backs aren't going to be the best. What I'm saying is it's circumstantial, right? So much of this is like your position. There's no, I don't want, do we want a center back who's the best player on their team? Because that probably means they're playing in Major League Soccer, or do we want a center back?
Let's say it's even Ricardo Pepi is the best player on Augsburg. Let's say he's the best player on Augsburg. He's the best player on Augsburg.
Right, but he's also a best player on a Bundesliga team if they're still in the Bundesliga.
But it's not like he's playing for Bayern Munich. When you think about France and where their players play, and you think about where Brazil players play,
right? It's an interesting thing because I think what she's saying is that you need people who can take on the responsibility,
change a game,
and I don't know that this is exactly the reason, but you go back to the era before we missed the World Cup. You were looking at players like Landon Donovan was not playing at the highest level. Obviously, everybody knows that. But he was the guy or one of the 2 or 3 guys in his club team all the time. And he took that responsibility to. And
it's so just unfortunate his club team played in MLS.
Right. But and Clint Dempsey obviously was playing in Europe at the time.
There's times you could definitely say Clint Dempsey was the best player at Fulham at certain points.
What I'm saying is that Landon Donovan was the best player in a situation where we would prefer our players go to a higher level. So when she says that, like you don't want to just be like the best player on 11 different MLS teams, right? That's not what you want.
You want to be challenged. You want to challenge yourself.
I think she realized that too. She also said that American players need to go to Europe earlier, which is impossible if you don't have a passport. So I didn't want to. I'm not going to get into.
Yeah, but I think overall she's correct, and it is happening. Ricardo Pepi's getting there just days before his 19th birthday. Would it be nice to be earlier? Yeah. Christian Pulisic was there at 16. Gio Reyna was there at 17 or 16. I can't remember. 16, I think, when Gio Reyna got there. The players that can get there, they're getting there. And if the other ones get there at 18, that's early enough to, I think, still achieve what you're talking about.
She doesn't believe. That's what I'm saying. Her whole thing is like, well, you need to be there at 12. And I'm like, well, you can't actually do that unless you are Pulisic and have a passport. And even he doesn't want to leave home at 12 to go. It's a thing. All right.
I hope everyone has a parent in international business then.
All right, that's going to do it. We got to wrap this thing up. That was fun. The Shadow Squad thing especially.
Shadow Squad.
We are back at it for 2022. Again, the World Cup year is now underway. Qualifying is coming up rapidly. We are working on some midweek stuff. We haven't done From the Stands in a while. It kind of slowed down. We might have a replacement for that. Just stay tuned. Subscribe to the show on the podcast platform, wherever you listen to the show. Leave us a rating and a review. I don't think we are prepared tonight for any of that, so we're not.
No new reviews.
No new reviews, says the voice from up high, Nikki Soup and Salad. Patreon.com/The Best Soccer Show. We are picking back up with that as well. Bonus show. There is still the Newlywed Game out there for you to watch. My wife asked me today if people liked it. I think they liked it. That's a thing. We got the.
I know some people played it with their own wives and husbands at home,
and said that they would have kicked our asses, Jared. That's what I was told. That's what I was.
I guess you're better than us. I
guess
you love each other
ahead
more.
Of time. They knew the questions ahead of time.
But are you happy? Are you happy?
So the Slack for the Besties community is incredible. It's still blowing up. We now have a movie spoiler thread, a TV spoiler thread or something which is named after Nikki Soup and Salad, which I love.
It's a movie thread. Was it Sub and Cinema? Super Cinema or something. I can't remember what it's called, but it's a movie Slack. Wordle is going crazy in our Slack right now.
Yeah, too much Wordle out there for sure. What else? Anything else?
Let's see. Festivus for the Best of Us went out great. Everyone got to exchange gifts. We had a great community on there doing that. We have new people signing up all the time. So if you want to be part of a fun, generous, caring community, and listen, we've got a lot of people on the Slack that have had some COVID scares, some actual COVID lately. The amount of people that are just checking in on them, making sure they're good. Oh yeah, we've got the best. We've got the best people in the culture with us over there.
I should pull up. I know, again, we're pushing it here on the timing. It's okay. We don't have it. Nobody's kicking us off the air. I know the radio thing starts to kick in, and I get real weird about it.
WNBC.
We have had a couple of new people join up. Grace, Glenn, Catherine, all joined up in the last couple of days.
Does Glenn's last name happen to start with an R?
It does. Why? Do you know who that is?
Yes, he plays he's my friend. He plays my soccer team, and he just signed up because he wanted to watch the Newlywed. That was the only reason he did it.
Well, he did sign up to the lowest level possible, so that makes a lot of sense.
That sounds like him.
Shout out to Glenn, who's jumped in. And again, Grace and Kat. I'm sorry, Kat is the way that she's called. Yeah. Just today, join the Slack and everything else. So again, and when I know I don't know how your life is going, but especially in COVID, especially with some of us, we're not locked down, but we're not going out as much as we usually do. We're not as connected community-wise. Lots of besties who are like, look, I got stuff going on. I don't feel great. I got an interview. I need some boosts. And people are just throwing good vibes their way. So I love that. I think that's incredible.
It's a very Ted Lasso vibe over there in the Slack.
It is. And also there's some jokes. And people make fun of me and you. And that's a good time.
People are making fun of me?
Not so much. I think you've dodged
behind my back, or
no, but not behind your back. Everything's public.
Okay.
Everything is out. I mean, public in the Slack, which people have access to. All right. Anything else, Mr. DuBois? Any other news?
That's it, guys. I hope you're having a safe return after the holidays. Life's getting back to normal, and we got national team games not too far away.
Oh man, can't wait for it. We'll talk to you guys next week. Bye.
Michael freaking Oscar
Danger Zone! Damn, dog, that's an approach.
You shut your mouth when you're talking to me.
Playing hot dogs and donuts with two fangirls in the locker room?
What are we doing?
Oh, it's incredible!
The Sausage King of Chicago.
I wouldn't be caught dead in a sweater vest.
Oh, baby!
It was there. Oh, here we go. Saucing them up. Hit him. What?
You feel respect for the Gegner.
Eddie, what have you done for me lately?